So here we are at IBM Pulse 2009. It's another IT management podcast special, this time with John Willis. So what did you think of the day one keynote?
It was interesting, the dynamic infrastructure. I mean, it's in one note, it's IBM doing what they do best, right? Is trying to figure out the really big picture, right? And the idea of dynamic infrastructure, of starting to manage all the business assets and treating them as becoming an electronic, the brain of everything you're doing.
Right.
I mean, I think that's really cool, and yet in the Maximo, that acquisition really made sense. Now the reality is that a lot of the stuff they talk about with the utility organizations, they're not doing the smart grid. They're already doing that stuff themselves, right? So, and the truth of the matter is that I think that in a lot of ways it's a lot bigger piece than they're trying
so it's a pretty big vision, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and maybe bigger than they've ever. Maybe this one could be their brick wall, because it's one thing to talk about a large vision within IT, but then to try to take a vision that encompasses everything that we do in our daily life.
So have you talked with people afterwards? Like, what are other folks saying?
The thing I asked, and I hit a couple of people after it, and it was the cloud. And what you get classically from most of the customers I've talked to is that, I hear this cloud thing is really something we should be looking at. So, I get the sense that really none of the really big customers that are really focused in on getting their job done today, which is monitoring, provisioning, getting the data center, getting their IT infrastructure to have some meaning. They're just the cloud is just this thing that's hovering around there, and it's like, I have to learn about it someday, but
right. And so what do you think about the way IBM talked about cloud computing today?
I'm hoping they go a little deeper dive the rest of the week, like today and tomorrow, because they gave no sense in that presentation that they really had a vision on the cloud, on what it really meant. Or if I go around the room and I ask all these people, what's your plan of cloud, and they're like, that cloud thing's something. At the very least, they should have set the stage and given their definition of what they think the cloud is.
Right. Well, there was one sort of worded definition that the stand-up people were giving, right, about virtualization, and I think Doug McClure was recording it, so maybe we can figure out the tape on that.
And that was the standard, like if it's low cost and it's immediately available. And,
right.
The kind of utility aspect of it. But I think that they kind of brushed over, like everybody assumes that everybody knows what the cloud is. And to me it sounded like they didn't know what the cloud was, and they're making this assumption that everybody else knows what it is.
Right.
I think
have you seen any sessions that there's like a whole cloud track, right? How are those looking?
They all start after lunch. I want to follow that whole track. There's like 2 or 3 today. There's even a box this evening, and then there's about 4 tomorrow. So I'm going to hit all those, and hopefully I'll have a better explanation of what I think IBM thinks the cloud is. Now the one thing that I will say is that has some promises that TSAM, the Tivoli Systems Automation Manager,
right,
which is sounds like that's being co-developed by some of their customers, and that is going to be this kind of today working on kind of the self-service provisioning of virtualization. But in a couple of discussions, it sounds like they're really close to just adding on maybe even things like Amazon Web Services and stuff.
Oh yeah, that would definitely be the excitement right there.
So I don't think we'll hear anything about that, but I'm expecting to hear a lot about the TSAM today or tomorrow. That seems to be their first, at least Tivoli's first real cloud play.
Right.
And again, I think it's more going to be the how do we do self-service provisioning, immediate provisioning, utility-based provisioning within the on-premise environment.
So do you have any other first day impressions?
I was glad I didn't pay for the conference. No, so far. It was painful. Now the reality check is that it was painful to sit through. In fact, the only useful presentation this morning, really, in my opinion, was the Harley Davidson presentation.
Right.
CTO. Other than that, it's just it's just this dog and pony every year. Here's where I make my friend. The dog and pony every year, it's another story. This year it's dynamic infrastructure. Last year was something else. Can we have something last more than 2 years?
Right.
If it's a really good idea, it should actually last more than a year. And
so the ideas stay the same. The names change.
That's right.
To protect the guilty.
That's right. Yeah.
On demand. Hey, you've been here. You know what I mean?
Forever, yeah. But yeah, well, why don't we just stick with that one?
That was great.
Yeah,
I always liked on demand.
Yeah, let's stay with that one. So.
In fact, what IBM now calls the cloud is what they used to call on demand, which was their own message and had differentiation. And instead, they got something cloud.
And in fact, if anything, that's when we should be circling back to the whole on demand.
Customers want on
now
demand.
We actually have,
give a crap whether it's
and we have the tools
to
finally deliver on demand. Yeah, no, and I think that's the point, is that if you really want to tell a story, you're making up a story. Right? You know, you shouldn't have to come every year to a marketing blitz and campaign and music. If it's a good story, just tell me the story. I really don't. I mean, maybe some people like the tap dance and and now let's go back to Jen in the field. You know, I mean, I just
Pulse News Network.
Yeah,
Horrible.
I just want to. I want to hear, and I get the sense that other people sitting out there. I mean, it's somewhat entertainment, but they didn't come here to get
Right. Well, we'll have to check in with you when the cloud track chapters get.
Yeah, no, I think that. I mean, that's the bottom line. Is once I get through the cloud tracks, then I'll have a lot to say.
Well, fantastic. Well, we'll see everyone next time.
So John Willis, our man in the clouds.